Hello everyone. Hi Rahul. Today we have Rahul Gandhi. He has converted XLRI Jamshedpur. He's also scored very high in ZAC and CAT. So today we have a sit down. Uh, we will ask him about his strategies. So welcome Rahul. How are you? Please
Thanks.
introduce yourself to everyone.
Hello. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And thanks for the Cracku team for doing what they do at Cracku. Hi, I'm Rahul Gandhi. I have converted XLRI Jamshedpur. As he mentioned, I've gotten good scores in SAT and CAT both. I have a work experience of around 2 years at Baker Hughes, which is an energy technology company in the cybersecurity domain. I work there as a strategy advisor in cybersecurity. Apart from this, I have a 999 profile, which does help in B schools, is what I've heard, yet to be tested. But that's about my profile and about me.
Okay. That is great. So you mentioned about 999 profile, and I'm pretty sure that you will enjoy your journey in B school. So congrats, man. Congrats for converting XLRI Jamshedpur. So just at the very beginning, why did you even choose MBA? Because you are already working. What was that moment of epiphany, and how did you even get started with the journey of ZAC and CAT prep in the very beginning?
Yeah. So one of the things that happened was the kind of workload that was increasing and the kind of exposures that we were getting at our office. I was able to see there is gap that needs to be bridged, and I know everyone comes here and tells about that gap, but that is very personal to me because being a strategic advisor, if I was able to just tell about cyber risk and not get into the discussions where it moved towards finance, sourcing, procurement, and other such aspects, I felt something was missing, which I needed to learn more comprehensive way rather than in silos, so that I could potentially give more to the organization, whichever I'll be part of, and things like that. So that is where I got the motivation that I should look for opportunities, and that is when uh, a few seniors I did talk to did tell me that MBA could be potentially a thing that you're looking for. So that's how it all started.
Okay, that's great. So you know about YMBA. Now, how did you even get started with the preparation phase?
Yeah, that was a tricky bit, but luckily I had a few friends who did convert it last year. So one of my friends was in FMS Delhi and another friend was in IIM Ahmedabad. So both of them were the right people to go seek guidance for since they gave 2024 CAT. The first thing that they told me was the daily targets of Cracku, and that is where I personally identified Cracku through those daily targets. That is when I looked through all of that bit slowly through the CAT preparation. I gave other mocks and things like that from Cracku, and then the 1 month ZAT preparation thing that Sayali ma'am did start was the turning point for my ZAT preparation. I had given my CAT, but I found that there could be gaps in my QA/DI section and DM section that I could consolidate more on for ZAT preparation. So that's how it went across.
Okay, that's excellent. So you also mentioned about CAT preparation and your ZAT preparation. You've also scored very high in CAT. It is 99.71 percentile, guys. So he scored very high. So you had the entire year or for your preparation. What did you do? What resources used? What were the topics? How did you even figure out the syllabus? What do you do with verbal logical reasoning? Because in ZAT and in CAT, a lot of the syllabus overlaps, except for decision making and some of the key nuances between some types of questions. So, how did you even get started?
Sure. So, just starting off with a few bits on the CAD preparation, because that is when this started. So, I did start in the month of August, July, August. So, it was pretty late for what people usually say for CAD preparation for a particular year. So, I wasn't sure. But again, the engineering background does help in the quant section, though I didn't score that well in the quant section finally. But there are other reasons associated with that. But I already wanted myself to focus more on DILR and VARC sections because I kind of felt that I have lost touch from reading and things like that. So I did go more through that, read every daily target essay that used to come in or the RC that used to come in during the CAT preparation. And that is what helped in ZAT because ZAT has that typical thing of having those very tough RCs to read and comprehend at the same time. So that was one thing. And with regards to the changes that you mentioned between CAT and ZAT, I think that DM section, a couple of videos that Sayali ma'am did on YouTube. That is where I started DM preparation for. And I would say everyone to look through them because that gives you an idea of how ma'am is thinking for those questions differently from a normal person who would get confused between the options. And that was the starting point, and that is what made me believe that this ZAT course is going to get me XLRI Jamshedpur, which eventually worked out.
Okay, okay, that's a very comprehensive answer. That's excellent. So you mentioned about, well, according to you, it was pretty late, but it's not pretty late. Uh,
Yeah.
how do you utilize those months? And let's talk about the elephant in the room, the mocks. How many mocks
Yeah.
you wrote, and what was the strategy? Syllabus first, mocks later. People get confused. So if you
Yeah.
could share about your journey.
Yeah, so it's true that mock is something that we all as aspirants are very fearful of, that the first mock we would give will not get scores, and how do we get out of it, right? So I had the similar thing. So for 1 month, I did focus on completing the most bits of the syllabus which are important to be looked at least to at least get a reasonable score at the mock. I did give around 10 to 15 mocks, not more than that. I think 10, 15 was the total number of mocks that I gave combined for CAT and XAT. But what I did make sure is that every mock is been looked at very seriously after I've done. What are the places I'm getting stuck at? And looking through the solutions that Cracku Cat mocks gives is very comprehensive as well, right? You get every solution with every detail necessary. Even there are alternative solutions that I've seen Maruti sir give for a single question, right? So that does help and things like that. So I started noting those down, and that's how I prepared for mocks as well.
Okay, great, great. So you discussed about your mock journey. Now let's talk about what was your strategy in mocks and in practice. Did you focus a lot on speed? Did you focus a lot on accuracy? Because if you see, ZAT is a bit different from CAT, but it's more or less the same exam. The only difference is in ZAT you get a longer time period, but you can scroll through all the sections. Now, what
Yep.
was your strategy? And since it was just after your CAT, and in CAT you already had a very high boost because the results were out and you got 99.71 percentile. What worked for you during your practice just before CAT exam? How did you take your CAT exam? Because the strategy has to be different in CAT exam. And how did you
Yeah.
use your experience of a very good CAT exam and turn it into a very good CAT exam?
Right. So for CAT exam, one thing that we, again, as I mentioned, we are all fearful of mocks. We should give our first mocks as soon as we feel little comfortable with the syllabus, because that is when you will start learning the exam. The exam is more like, the CAT exam is 40 minutes, three sections. I consider it as three exams, because if I think of it as a stretch of three sections, my mind would go crazy. So I thought of it three different exams that I have to give. Now that is what I prepared for CAT, and giving mocks helped me. But that was a completely different ball game, because you can then strategize which section you want to give more time to and get more score in, right? So that is what I differentiated my CAT preparation from that. Took the confidence from CAT because I did score well. But what different needed to be done in that, I again followed. I mean, I am very grateful that I got mentors, which were there in Cracku to guide me through that. The time composition that you could give for different sections in that is going to be very crucial, because the kind of questions that come in quant are very different in a way, because there are logical questions as well as there are questions which are very easy to do. So you have to pick and choose them. And then the sections, RC sections, are also very long to look at. So things like that. So that is how I differentiated both the preparation.
Okay, okay, that's a great answer. Now, it has been really exhausting for you because you have been working. You also prepared for CAT and XAT. You performed excellent in both the exams. So, what did you do to chill yourself, and what what do you tell yourself before a mock and during the CAT exam, after the CAT exam? Like, tell me, how do you calm yourself?
I'll tell you something, and everyone who would be watching this, I don't know how many people would be watching it. I hope people do watch it. But my point is that give CAT exam thinking it's something that's very useful for you. And uh, while you're preparing for it, the RCs, right, the kind of RCs that came in, it was actually my point of relaxation after work. So I read through those RCs, because I left reading a lot of time before, right? When I was doing my engineering, I didn't read much. And then 2 years of work, no time for reading as well. But those RCs were kind of refreshing for me to learn about something new every day. And I already love DLR section, so I used to solve puzzles even when I was in my engineering. This preparation was itself a chilling experience for me. I wanted to compete, and then when you see those leaderboards and you get yourself in the top 10 at times, top 15 at times, that pushes you more, right? So those numbers that you get in pushes you more. So that is what my relaxation was actually.
Okay, that's excellent. So now you've converted XLRI Jamshedpur. It's a dream college. It's a top college of India, and you must be very excited. So just tell me, you got the XLRI Jamshedpur call, and you went for the interview. Were you nervous? How was your interview experience?
To be very honest, I didn't feel that I'd convert. I was mostly hopeful of a wait list that could get converted for Jamshedpur BM. I wasn't expecting this direct convert because the kind of preparation that I did for an interview was not that grilling. My first grilling interview that happened was of XLRI, and XLRI has GD, WAT, and then the final interview, right? So GD went well, but I saw their expressions and they had a very straight face, the professors who were taking that interview. And I kind of was feeling, okay, am I speaking too much in this GD and things like that? Then I wrote the WAT, it was all fine. And I was the second person to get in for the interview. So after the GD, the first person got in, he gave the interview, he came out, and you have that buffer of 10 seconds to ask what is going to happen. And that is when he told, bro, they are grilling. And that is when my mind went all off because I didn't understand what do I do now. I kept my cool, went in. They grilled a lot. They asked a lot about cybersecurity, the domain that I worked in. They went through various situations that I would have gotten in my work experience, and that actually helped because I was indulged in the work a lot. So I had those nuances to know what could work out in a certain situation where those threats come in cybersecurity domain. So I was able to take care of it. And since I did my specialization in AI and robotics in my engineering field, the topic of GD was AI in education. So it kind of reflected back upon what I learned as a student, as an engineer. So they asked a lot of questions around those topics. And I felt initially that I'm answering not what they are expecting, but turns out they were happy with my interview. So all good.
Yeah, of course, they were happy with the interview. Finally, you're going to join XLRI Jamshedpur. So, are you excited and how do you see yourself utilizing your time in XLRI Jamshedpur? How was the campus and all the other stuff apart other studies?
Yeah, so I've just seen the campus on online itself because I didn't give the interview in the campus, but very excited. I've heard amazing things about XLRI Jamshedpur. Cohort is one thing that is very special there, and you learn a lot from the kind of people that come in from different domains. So I'm very excited along those lines. And the kind of kind of clubs that are there, the kind of events that happen in XLRI Jamshedpur, people come from different colleges to visit those fests. So being part of it, I'll try to get into the committees that could organize those events and things like that. So those are the aspects I'm more inclined towards. Studies will come in parallel, but yeah, these aspects are something very special about XLRI Jamshedpur.
Okay, that's excellent. Now, one more thing, since you have also received calls from FMS and you got a really high percentile in CAT, the question is, how was your FMS interview? And well, you're still waiting for the results, right? And yeah, like hopefully you'll
So
get in. Of course, man.
yeah,
You will eventually get in. How was that interview different from this interview?
yeah. So currently I'm waitlisted at FMS 49. So let's see if that goes all well. But FMS interview is a very different interview than XLRI because there is no GD, there is no WT. You just go in and give your PI. And the PI went for just 6 minutes, and I did clock it. So it's 6 minutes. And I could just give my introduction, why MBA, a couple of questions on consulting as a domain, and that's it. That's all. That's all I gave in FMS interview. The only thing is the extempore, which was I think the turning point for me at FMS as well, that I was able to speak on the topic. The topic was again on cybersecurity, so I got that as one of my opportunities to speak better on. So that was FMS. I have still the conundrum of choosing between the two, and both are very different. One is ROI King, and one has the XLRI Mafia in them. To get along later in the career. But yeah, both were very different interviews. Didn't think I'd convert any of them, but got through. So I'm happy. Yeah.
Yeah, of course, man. Of course, man. I should be happy. Okay, so before wrapping it up, what is one thing that you think you could have done different in your entire preparation journey, and one thing that you think you got lucky, or maybe yeah, I can thank myself. Yes, it's good that I did it. So it is a kind of a message that you are saying to all the aspirants that are watching you.
Yeah, definitely. So I think quant is something that I overestimated myself in. I would say it very frankly, and I think engineers do that. And I would say that make sure that you are giving equal time, or whatever your mentors suggest you the time, but you give those hours in, even for the topics that you think you are comfortable with, because in the exam you never know, topics could come up tough, questions could come up tough, so you should be able to handle that. So that is one thing that I believe, if I could go back in time, I would change it. But one thing that I got lucky, I think I've gotten lucky many times. I thank God for everything that has happened to me throughout this journey. I wasn't well before the CAT exam. Just wanted to share a short anecdote. So I was suffering from dengue. I was bedridden 2 days before CAT. So I didn't give any mock for the last 15 days. But then I saw one of the videos of Maruti sir where he said that if you're thinking that you would have the same mindset which you had in mock while you're giving CAT, it's not possible. Everyone in that exam room will have pressure, will have something to deal with in their life. You have to go and think that you have been going through this for the last 6 months and you can crack it. And that's what Cracku stands for. And that's what I did, because I did believe that if someone is saying from that stature who has gotten so well in these exams, I could try and I could do it too. So that was one thing that I'm very thankful about.
Okay, that is excellent. That is a kind of a motivational message that you have delivered to everyone. So thanks, man. All the best for your MBA journey. That's it. Take care. Thanks, man. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you.